Wake up from the program dream. Feel the real beneath your feet. Shut out all the hollow screams. Let your own thoughts take the lead. In every pulse that shakes the ground. In every note that dares to rise. You're not lost, you've just been found. Beneath this electric sky.
22 million people are in the...
Hey y'all, welcome back to Matrix Navigate 10. So this show is about, so you've woken up. Okay, so it's important that you learn how to critically think after you wake up because the programming is still there. So you have to be careful not to be programmed again and to use your own thinking. Okay, so let's go.
path of severe storms right now, and most of them have no idea what is about to hit. If you live anywhere from Ohio to Pennsylvania, what I am about to tell you in the next 60 seconds could save your life tomorrow. But here is the thing that nobody is talking about yet. This entire storm system, the one threatening the Ohio Valley, the one that could drop baseball-sized hail on Pittsburgh, it is directly connected to a catastrophic flood that just trapped 5,000 people in Hawaii yesterday.
What? Years that they're really missing from, we can see that there is a massive gap between the years of 1999 to 2001 when you had the tech bubble blow up. You had, I believe that's 99 is when the Lewinsky impeachment trial's happening. You have the election of 2000, the highly contested election of 2000, John Kiriakou. And then in 2001, you have the worst terrorist attack in United States history in New York and DC. In the skies over that fell over Pennsylvania with United 93, and suddenly all these files are missing. But John, we did get an email from 2003 that slipped through the cracks. From 2003, someone named Ed Epstein sends an email to one GMAX, Ghislaine Mac, saying any interest in being on the Shadow Commission on 9/11, the membership list is secret. She responds, thanks for the invite. Unfortunately, I cannot be on the Shadow Commission.
A Shadow Commission. It takes my breath away.
Okay. I'm from Gen X, so I remember the Monica Lewinsky trials, and it's funny how these EpiPen files go all the way back and how they're so deeply interwoven to our society today. Now, as we heard them just mention, there was a shadow 911 commission. What? So, hearing things like this, I can understand, okay, so we know this, so what am I supposed to do about it? Okay, so what you're supposed to do about it is to make a mental notation and understand that this stuff has started probably way before your birth and will continue way after your birth unless something happens to where the collective is like, you know what, you gotta stop playing in our face. Stop playing in our face. Stop playing in our face. It's crazy. Okay, so let's keep going. Also in this video, you'll see little clips like you saw the lady bird sheltering her babies. That's the only care she has in the world. She doesn't have any rent. She doesn't have any bills. She doesn't have to do the things that we have to do. She doesn't have to pay to live here. So little things like that is just nice to see.
Oh, yeah, right. On the table and baby, you hold the cash. You got the magic and I gotta have it. I don't want the pieces. I want every single part. I'll be your ring. Go, girl. You want it's fine. Woo! Whenever you're ready, just call on your lady. I'll be your baby tonight. Yeah. Girl, go ahead.
I think that's cool because not that I'm a fan of any of these idols. I like to hear people who can really, really sing, that show their natural talent, which we all have. We all have a natural talent. We can all do something. So those things are in there to let you know that there's something within you too that can be displayed. Okay, so let's keep going.
I borrow money, guess what? Do I pay taxes on debt?
I guess no.
Why is that? Why is debt tax-free?
I don't know.
Because that's how money is created. And so the banks love it. They love people borrow lots of money. So how do I get rich? I borrow money. And I buy assets with it. The poor person borrows money and buys liabilities like purses, cars, houses, and they get poorer and poorer and poorer.
Okay, that's an interesting thing to think about. So if you're in a position where you can borrow money, use that money to buy assets. Use the money to make more money. I heard something interesting yesterday of how Elon Musk, or well, we're going to use him as an example, how the ultra rich get out of paying taxes. They get out of paying taxes because they borrow against their stock. So the way it's said that he bought Twitter is that he borrowed against his stocks. Okay, so his Tesla stocks are still in his Tesla stocks. He didn't take them out and then say, hey, here's my collateral. No, he used that stock as the collateral. So he doesn't have the money in his hand, therefore there's nothing to be taxed. See what I'm saying? So the collateral he used as Tesla, he used that to as a backing to buy Twitter. And the story goes a little bit deeper than that, but just to let you know, that's how they do it. That's how they get out of paying taxes, because you can't tax anything that you don't have in your hand directly. So if you have $100 million worth of stock, you can borrow against that stock that is still sitting in there making money. And it can't be taxed because it's not in your hand. Let's keep going.
Oh, buddy. Checked this way, it stays nice. You don't have to worry. It's just smart. Protect what matters.
Okay, so I've also thrown in some 80s throwback commercials in there to kind of let you know what kind of brainwashing techniques we were under and the brainwashing techniques that our parents were under. And I'm glad that my mom didn't fall for this plastic routine. Now, I have relatives that had plastic on their furniture, and I couldn't understand it because we always went over there in the summertime. And then I would go over there and then I would stick to the furniture and everything. It was ridiculous. It was very claustrophobic feeling for me. So I'm glad my mom never did that. So you guys share in the comments if you guys went somewhere or your parents had plastic on the furniture, because why? That's awesome.
Henderson attends to the refreshments.
Did you see that? So apparently if you prick your finger, you put your finger in water and you let it bleed out, it's an EKG sign. So I wonder if that's where they got it from, because it looks exactly like an EKG sign. So why not just do that? Why not do that? Instead of hooking people to the thing, they do so much. They do so much. Maybe it's just for the insurance, because if you can just prick the finger and put it in water and determine the heart rate, then do that.
a task requiring steady attention. Mrs. Henderson faces the challenge of amusing the company, a responsibility not every gentleman relishes. But observe the robot storyteller. With theatrical flair, it delivers tales, anecdotes, and wit at the press of a button. No awkward silences, no strained conversation, and no effort whatsoever from Mr. Henderson. One might say the laughter now comes automatically, a most delightful convenience in the home of tomorrow.
Everybody worried about that war in Iran. What you need to be worrying about is this war with these robots. This war with these robots is coming soon. Look how fast that robot running. And that robot can run till it run out of battery. You can run till you run out of breath. Who you think gonna win? You better get you an EMP gun.
A document showed that Hillary Clinton took exceptional interest in the search for the tomb of Gilgamesh. There is an ongoing conspiracy theory that the real motivation for the invasion of Iraq was to find the tomb of Gilgamesh. Why on earth would Hillary Clinton be interested in Gilgamesh?
Gilgamesh, he was a giant. He was half God, half man. He was on a quest for immortality. I think they really wanted to find his tomb to see if they can do a DNA test.
One of the things that they might have recovered in Iraq was a Stargate.
Saddam was learning how to activate these things. He was getting ready to expose this to the world. His new museum that he had just built with all the information that can prove that there was an ancient advanced civilization and an ancient airport with beings flying and landing here in Iraq. And they were going to expose all these
spaceships.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do your own doggone research. Also, it is said that there are beings walking on this earth who are related to Gilgamesh / Nimrod. And going and digging up his corpse and taking a DNA sample is a good way to find out. And plus, you know, come on, they already know their lineage. They know it. They know it. They know it. So it goes a lot deeper than that. Now, if you go and do your own research on that, so I'll give you the nuggets. You go dig into it and go find out more. So I'm going to tell you this. It is sad that when they dug him up, he was perfectly preserved. Okay? Perfectly preserved. And I think it's more than just finding out if they're related to Gilgamesh. No. I think it goes deeper into, or evidence shows that there's a possibility of reactivation. Go check it out.
All the girls are talking about it. Just put it on.
Just put on some makeup. Oh no.
And go.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, they don't like that.
Very even.
Yeah, they couldn't say it's pretty.
Something works.
What's
the Sphinx?
The head on there now is a recarved face. The original head was, so he built the Great Pyramid, he also built the Sphinx. He says something in the Emerald Tablets. He says, beneath the Sphinx, I hide my ship. And far in the future, an enemy will come from the deep. And the one who can release my ship will defeat them with ease. He's talking about space battle. And he's talking about the fact that he got this ship underneath the Sphinx. Now, to add credence to this, I was doing a post-conference lecture. I was talking about this documentary coming on Discovery Channel. And they were going to air live what they discovered a mile underneath the Sphinx's paw. And then as soon as it went to air, it said this show was canceled. The guy who was the producer for that episode was in my front row in my audience, and he said they gave me a gag order. But he said all I can tell you was there was a massive technological object down there, and they forbid us to talk about it and to release it to the public, so we had to shut the show down.
The land of...
Okay. There's also evidence that points to Saddam Hussein, who had access to this same or similar technology. Okay? And he wanted to share it with the world. Just letting you know. Go research it for yourself.
Israel isn't what you think. Pay attention. Abraham is the father of the Jews. But before Abraham was a Jew, He was a Gentile, and God called Abraham out of his country to a new land that God would show him. Now, where was Abraham from? Acts 7:2 tells us that God called Abraham out of Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia is modern-day Iraq. So all that are natural-born Jews, which are the seed of Abraham, are from Iraq. Iraq is a far cry from Africa. Now, where is the land that God promised to give Abraham? In Genesis 12, verse 5, it says, "And they went forth into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came, and the Canaanite was then in the land." Now look at what the Lord tells him. "And the Lord appeared to Abraham and said, Unto your seed," we'll come back to that, "will I give this land." So the land that the Lord promised to give Abraham was the land of Canaan, where the Canaanite dwelt. Now what's interesting is that the land that God promised to give Abraham and his seed, many believe to be this little slither of place right here. But look at what God tells Abraham in Genesis 15:18. He says, "Unto your seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt," that's the Nile River, "unto the great river, the river Euphrates." So from the Nile River in Egypt all the way to the Euphrates River in Iraq is the land that God promised to give Abraham and his seed. So here's Israel, and here's the Nile River, and Euphrates is all of this. So God promised to give them from the Nile River, all of Arabia, to the Euphrates River in Iraq. Now remember the seed that God planned to give this land to along with Abraham? Many people believe that these are the descendants of Abraham, but descendants are only a partaker of what is promised to the seed. Galatians 3:16 tells us, "Now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made. He saith not into seeds as of many, but as of one, and to thy seed, which is Christ." So the promises were made to Abraham and to Jesus. And when he returns, he's going to take the land that was given to him. And the seed of Abraham will dwell in that place during the 1,000-year reign of Christ on earth.
Meet Brian. He's 22, a little shy, and told us he's ready for a confidence transformation. Let's see what a few styling touches can do.
Looking good, Brian. You feeling it?
Oh, he's feeling it. Take a look at this. New hair, new fit, and a brand new posture. Confidence? Absolutely. That's the difference a little care can make.
Cannot spot a psychopath, but you can spot manipulators pretty quickly. Number one thing that you need to look for is if you've ever met somebody who has been happy their whole life, even by the time they're 19, 20 years old, you're going to see these little crow's feet kind of just almost permanently etched onto the face. Someone who's really skeptical or angry all the time will look like this. So you'll see this muscle right here start squeezing together. It's called the glabella right here. Our forehead acts like a social billboard. So we are very expressive, with our eyebrows when we're talking, we want to emphasize points. Or if I'm just saying hello to a stranger, you say, "Oh, hey, good morning." And you raise your eyebrows. That's how we communicate socially. People who don't really communicate socially and view the world as in a transactional way, you're not going to see much movement of those eyebrows up on the forehead. You're going to see a lot less lines in their forehead, and you're going to see a lot less movement in the forehead.
Bing bing, yo, ba ba dum bang bum ba dum bum bum ba bum bum ba. What's going on? Ding ding.
I like that.
You may not believe in astrology, but historians and astrologers have noticed something very strange about power shifts in human history. Every time Pluto moves through a fixed sign, the people in power change. And right now, we're watching the next cycle begin. Pluto is the planet astrologers associate with power, control, death, and rebirth of systems. Not everyday change, civilization level change. Now here's the interesting part. When Pluto moves through the fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, these are the signs associated with structure and power. And when Pluto enters them, history tends to shift leadership. Pluto in Leo, World War II era, massive global leadership changes. Pluto in Scorpio, Cold War collapse, fall of the Soviet Union. Pluto in Aquarius, that's the cycle we just entered. And Aquarius historically has something to do with the people, the collective, revolutions. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. At the same time Pluto is entering Aquarius, two other planets are about to enter Aries, Saturn and Neptune. Aries represents the birth of new eras, new leaders, new movements, new identities. So when historians look back at these alignments, they often notice something. The old guard fades and new power structures appear. Now, I'm not telling you what will happen. Astrology doesn't force events, but it reveals patterns in time. And if the pattern continues, the world may be entering one of the most interesting leadership transitions of our time. The real question is, who rises next? Follow if you want to understand the deeper patterns between history, psychology, and astrology, because the sky has been keeping records longer than any history book, and we are living in the next chapter.
I'm guessing you've also.
Okay. Now, while he was saying that, I was thinking, and he was saying not just leaders would change hands, but whole civilization. So that made me think, if they are moving for a whole entire reset, what kind of reset? Are they going to reset back to the Cabbage Patch Kids days where they reset everything and all these buildings are founded? You know what I'm saying? Okay, you know what I'm talking about. So, let's say a reset is coming. What do they intend to do with the current civilization to enforce this reset? Now, we saw how, or we can put the pieces together of how the last reset happens. You know, we have the old Tartarian buildings. We know that was an advanced civilization. Would that type of thing happen again? So let's say they found something to do with the civilization here, wipe it out, what have you. I'm not trying to fear monger. I'm just critically thinking. So let's say they get rid of the civilization here now. Are they just going to start over and just say, oh, here's a telephone, here's electricity, here's this, here's that, and spoon feed all over again? Is that what they're doing? It's just a question. I'm just wondering. But I think my generation, which is Gen X, and our children, I think is a little bit different because we grew up different, very, very different. We grew up when there was, when we grew up with the rotary phone, and then now we have phones that we carry around with us. We have computers that we carry around with us. The first computer I ever touched, I was in 6th grade, and it was a monster. We grew up with a lot of technology. We grew up with a lot of TV. We grew up with a lot of things that shaped the way that we're thinking today. So, in the way that I think today, and I think a lot of other Gen Xers think that, and my children also think along these lines. So, there are so many things that they play in our face with it. Okay? That's also going to be like an ongoing thing with these videos. They're playing in our face. Like, we didn't grow up watching Inspector Gadget. Like our parents didn't grow up watching Columbo. We are man-made detectives. We detect crap. We know when people are playing, but the thing is, when people are playing in your face, just don't sit there and let them play in your face. It's one thing if I'm just a person, just one person, and I say, okay, they're playing in our face. But if there are a million like me who are getting tired of people playing in your face, then that million can do something. You see what I'm saying? We know we're being lied to. We know there are so many things forged and we quite don't know what the truth is, but we are intelligent enough to dig a little deeper and find out facts, okay, by the evidence provided. Thank you for joining me today. Remember to turn on your notification bell so you do not miss these juicy nuggets. Remember to always critically think, never turn your mind off. We'll see you later.
Wake up from the program dream.